think about maybe some things that you feel like have been a little disconnected or disjointed that maybe you might want to talk about in a space like this in real time. Anything that comes up for you. And it could be, it doesn't have to necessarily just be like a question about something. It could be a reflection, any of that. So I just want to invite anybody up to come and join me and chat for a minute. Yes. What's up, dude?
What's up,
I feel like I
brother?
haven't seen you in so long.
I know, I've been MIA on many journeys.
I'm going to be really annoying and get this
Have
up
me talk
so
right
you can.
into the thing.
Yeah, only
right.
because if you want to just hold it right where you're at.
Yeah, sure
and
thing.
Then, I don't know, it's always awkward. But later on, when people are watching on YouTube, they're like, I can't hear the guy telling us the thing.
Oh, okay, yeah. We don't want the YouTubers to riot.
Right.
We saw
Yeah.
what happened in Newport Beach last night. So.
I did not.
Oh, dude. Well, that is an interesting tie-in to my question. Let's probe the deep, dark sin that I struggle with of doom scrolling. All right. It's been something I've been like kind of paying attention to, because there's so much going on in the world, and the easiest thing in the world is to get just glued into your phone and just scroll, and I've been paying attention to it. Like I've been trying to not judge it too hard. Like where is this happening? When is it happening? Why is it happening? And so, I think in this space, we have a decent sense of an appreciation of the silence and quieting our hearts in some way, shape, or form. And what I find is I can find that place, right? And if I need to, I can go to it, and work hard to get there. But what I find too is sometimes even in that silent place is the distracted thoughts that go out, that are reaching out for kind of almost like that quick hit stimulation, right? And it could be man, I want something that's going to make me angry. Well, I can find it in 3 seconds, or whatever itch you're looking to scratch. We tend to have this instant ability to just find it, right? And so my general question is I think it's probably a common thing. We all, that's kind of you could call it a modern sin we contend with, or whatever we want to call it. Once you kind of become aware of it, now I'm okay, I can see this dynamic, I can see this issue. But then the discipline, what I'm finding is difficult is I'll see something and I'll be like, oh, that's not even really, those are desires that are kind of coming in from the outside, energy that's coming in from the outside, and I'm somehow confused, and I'll attach I'm really angry about this post. Right? And it's well, that's just anger waiting for me. You know what I mean? Yeah. Or whatever it is. And so, just a general question is, once we become aware of, that particular distractibility that we all, I think, encounter, is what are some helpful ways to help us kind of cut the connection from those distractions to stay in the place of, a more a mindful, aware space.
Dude. Yeah, I'm not a saint on any of that myself.
Right. No, I'm totally not either. So that's why I'm asking the question.
I think I've been struggling a lot with I'll just be super honest. I don't think anybody would expect anything. I hope nobody would expect anything else, but my contemplative practice lately has been not great. Mm-hmm. I, for years, was so devoted with my practices and things. And then, I don't know, it's just been to your point, just distractions.
Right.
And it still happened. I still sit throughout the week or whatever, but I've been cutting my time back a little bit more or whatever. But interestingly enough, the distractions that have been coming and what's helped me in the past and just recently has been helping me with all of that is loads of grace.
Yeah.
and I just feel like in this day and age, grace is over. Like, it's not recognized enough. And for sometimes good reason, because I feel like people are like, we can't just keep ignoring this stuff or whatever. But like, to your point, like whenever it comes to this, like the anger's already in you. It's just looking for an avenue to be able to express it, And I think like, it's interesting even talking to you, because I like, it feels weird for you to ask me a question, because I'm like, I know like so much of this stuff already, and it's kind of you to come and break the ice at the beginning. But I just feel like each of those distractions, to me, again, reveals something back of like, you kind of answered your own question. Like, I am becoming aware in this moment, my anger about this is revealing that I'm actually an angry person right now on the inside.
Right.
And the idea that this is making me mad, it's revealing that you're already in a state of madness.
Right.
If that's a thing, And how to deal with that? Like, to me, like the initial thing that comes up is like Thomas Keating. If any of you are familiar with Thomas Keating, he really brought formation around the practice of centering prayer. And so, which is basically just like a form of mindfulness packaged up in a, Christian setting, as you know.
Yeah.
But for those that may not know, and he was doing a seminar one time, and one of I believe it was like a nun or someone that was asking a question. They're like, whenever I sit for my 20-minute practice, side note, this came up when transcendental meditation was becoming very big and prominent as well.
Right.
So it was kind of like a Christian variation of transcendental meditation, for those of you that don't know, which I like transcendental meditation, by the way. So I don't want to pay for it, but I like it, truth be told. But he was doing a seminar, and a nun asked him, and you probably already know this story, but she said, I just feel like my mind gets distracted by 10,000 things in that 20 minutes. And he said 10,000 opportunities for grace. And I just feel like for myself, it's natural for me to self-sabotage. So that's another thing too, is like, I'm also, for me, looking for a reason for why I kind of suck at doing this.
Yeah.
Now, and it's becoming aware of the awareness of it. And I think we do live in a rage bait world, though, and limiting the screen time, just like with anything, it's dope. Like, it's truly dope. So like, when you're aware that you're looking for that, I even in my meditation recently was like, I pulled it back to like 15 minutes when I sit, and I realized like the first 10 minutes, sometimes the whole thing's just a crap show or whatever, but the first 10 minutes, dude, I'm all over the place, and like, you wouldn't believe, like, it'd be embarrassing to tell you the things that I think about, like, at any given time, especially whenever I'm trying to be still. But a lot of it comes down to like feelings of fear, insecurity, anger. Like, it's all of these things that start to come up. But after about 10 minutes, I feel like there is like Alan Watts was just sharing, like there's just this kind of spaciousness that comes. And it dawned on me this last time of like, sometimes it really is just like pulling back from something long enough and having the grace to do it. So I don't know that I'm truly answering your question, but I think it's a great thing to talk about, because distractions are just opportunities, I think, for grace and revelation for where actually we need to ask for help.
Yeah.
That's okay. I'm going to stop. But the other thing on that is like, I feel like sometimes in the spiritual circles that I've ran through, it's so like, if it's going to be, it's up to me. And I kind of miss some of my charismatic church upbringing where we would sing worship songs for an hour, basically saying, God help us.
Yeah.
Because I think there is a important posture of both, in the same way Alan Watts was talking about what's happening outside, what's happening inside. Well, you start to realize things are happening to me and I'm doing them all at the same time.
Yeah.
And so it's like, I am needing to live in alignment and posture my heart and act in ways that I feel like are going to be in tune and things. And also I need to ask for help, whether you believe there is a divine being orchestrating the universe or not.
Yeah.
the energetic posture it puts me in to just be like, I need support.
Mm-hmm.
Like, yeah, I am angry.
Right.
I'm actually quite literally really irritated and upset about some things right now.
Yeah.
Truth be told.
Yeah.
And I found that I don't know how to work my way through it. So I'm literally, it's funny now getting to this point, like I am personally asking, that's my meditation.
Mm-hmm.
That's my mantra word. That's the transcendental secret word.
Hmm.
Help, you know?
Yeah.
So I don't know if that answers or brings any clarity. What do you think?
Well, so like the stuff I'm working on some theoretical stuff that's related to AI that deals with how the world works and how cognition works and those kinds of things. And there's this interesting structure that seems to appear everywhere, and it looks like this: open and close, unfolding and enfolding, right? And I wonder, like, when you're telling me, like, yeah, I'm not feeling it right now, I'm like, dude, yeah, I get that. Like, I go through these phases where I'm bipolar, by the way, so I have like this kind of cycle that looks like that. That's just like I feel great, things are unfolding really awesome and exploring, and then things kind of close in, and that's just my rhythm. Is like when I'm in like a great contemplative space, and I'm not always in a great contemplative space, but when I'm in a great contemplative space, a lot of times what's happening is I'm bringing in all those stupid distractions that were happening for like 6 months that I just couldn't shake. You know, it's almost like there's these little gremlins inside of me that just love those distractions and want to go after them. And then you kind of quiet down, and you can see it's like sometimes there was like a lesson in those distractions that I was not seeing at the time.
Yeah.
That then becomes apparent later. And I think what you're talking about is sometimes like that grace piece is, yeah, I mean, like we can talk in the language of spirituality, but I'll speak in the language of God here, is God's grace is carrying us through those distracted times, because like there's a bigger picture that we can't see in that moment, that maybe we're going to see in the next trough where things quiet down. You'd be like, oh, that's what those were.
Right.
Right. Maybe. I don't know. Again,
At least
no
that's what I
expertise
tell
here.
myself.
Right. I hope so.
Yeah, I've seen that to be true, and the big thing for me is letting go of timing with all of that. You know, it's like,
Yeah.
it's all working out.
Yeah.
You know?
And sometimes maybe like, okay, I'm just stuck and distracted, and like, okay, well, that's where things are right now. I don't know. But then it's like, but that's always like a certain state of happening, that there's other states of happening that are going to happen to us down the line too.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So.
Dude, I could riff on this a lot more.
I know. So I'll let somebody else come up here.
Okay, dude. Thank you, Jed. So, oh God, I know. I feel like maybe we should restart the podcast or something that we were doing. That was really good. Thank you. Anybody want to piggyback on some of that, or take us in a whole new direction, or whatever? Yeah. Welcome, my friend. Yeah, thanks. It's Facebook Marketplace. We had to replace the other one, and you know.
Very nice.
But, yeah.
So some thoughts I had for my spiritual awakening started. I was opening my eyes right to some things that I was very closed off to. I grew up, just how we grow up, and that's a perfectly fine, thing. All of us.
What do you mean by that?
Growing up in a Christian church, just very closed off to some of the things that the universe has to show us, right? So then my eyes start opening up to, wow, like I don't have to be in this box of shame, that I'm not good enough, or that we feel we have to be perfect, right? So in that, I felt that, what's the verse? Beautiful are the feet of those who share the good news, right? Mm-hmm. So you always have this like internal pressure, maybe, or embedded pressure to share.
Right.
Okay, this is what I learned. You have to know it too. You got to know it, like everybody has to know it. And so I always, would felt that now stepping into a new revelation, or just, like new beginning, and that like, oh, the universe, it's all connected. Every religion, everything serves a purpose in that. But I always felt that I had to share. Now that I'm in like a different chapter, I'm very scared to share my new like people are going to be like, what, why, like, what is this, new Tasha? And so I'm very maybe thinking of like particular people in my life that I would not feel comfortable sharing with.
Yeah.
And people who I'm very close to, who I love and adore, family, friends, I don't feel comfortable sharing it with them. I don't know. And so I just kind of struggle with that. Like, is it, they are in their faith, and that's wonderful. And I want that for them. I want them to have that experience in this life, and it's serving a great purpose for them. But how do you guys feel about, just opening your new revelation, or your spiritual awakening? Do you, obviously for you, you are sharing that now, but what kind of brought you to that, where you stepped away and you're like, I don't care what people think? I mean, I think that really what it comes down to is like, we just have to step into that.
Yeah. Yeah. Thanks for sharing that, because I feel like that's something that a lot of people try to navigate too. Like, how, like, do I share with people like how I've changed and grown and evolved? And especially whenever I already know they're probably not going to really get it, And I think that's wise. There's a few things that come up, and I feel like back whenever, I know the buzzword is like deconstruction, right? Like, at least back whenever, like 2016 era of myself was like really deeply.
That was
Yeah, it was like, and it's still like fine, like it's a great fine word or whatever, but like I think I went through this time of like needing everyone else to know kind of where I was at, and showing kind of the inconsistencies in the theology that I came from, and finding a lot of like hope in the mystery, and like trying to invite people that like, hey, the water's actually really nice out here, come on, you know what I mean? And I don't know, I just got to a point where I don't know, like it just didn't, to me, and it's funny, because a lot of it comes back to like the life of Jesus, like showing me actually the way out of Christianity.
Yes.
I don't know if I could say that, like, or more so Christianism. I've been adopting that a lot more word lately, like out of that. So I don't know, to kind of like, just where I've been is like, I think that you got to know like who has an ear to hear, and not everybody's going to get it. And, even when Jesus walked around, he didn't have this like big halo around his head, and it's like we depict in art now. And it's like, well, some people are going to get it and some people aren't, and that's all right. And I've loosened this evangelism, this evangelical notion that like, for some reason, people have to be where I'm at,
Yeah.
And that's what I grew up with, is like, we need to get people where we are, because where they are isn't okay. God doesn't like that. Where we are, God likes that, and it's okay, so I don't know if you have anything with that too, but
it's just really that release, and also a bit of a grieving process, because that you might actually lose people as friends, or just, and it is what it is. It's kind of just, I have to like kind of just accept that, like, well, if we are going maybe different paths, then that's how it has to be. But it is a bit of that grieving of just knowing like I may not have that person in my life, and it is sad.
It's really sad. And I've had a lot of people come and go, and I've had a weird relationship with family members, with my dad, with people that have been very close to me, and it is a really difficult thing. And again, to come back to old Yeshua here is, that people are going to leave family and land and all of these things for my name's sake, which I think is just, it's a whole different approach for what I interpret that to be.
So much, yeah, so much deeper, yeah.
But I feel like, yeah, like, of course, like, things are going to change. And this is where, to help, I guess, balance me out a little bit today, is like, you know, the doctrine of impermanence from the Buddha, I think, is very important. Of like, everything is shifting and changing all the time, myself and everyone around me. And the minute I cling to any of it, I don't have it anymore. Or now let's go back to our tradition. The minute you try to hold manna, it turns to maggots.
Yeah.
And so I think, like, the minute I need people to be a particular form, and I hold on to that, and I need them to be that forever, or myself, or my theology, or it rots. It's supposed to be fluid and moving and active and refreshing every day, and sometimes insecure if it's going to come the next day, and people flow in and out of our life, and it is hard, and that's to bring into some of this space is like, to find a community in after some of those spaces you've been in is really difficult, because myself, I'll just speak for me, but also people that I know very dearly, stick around in environments far longer than they need to because relational connection.
That's what we want, yeah.
Yeah. And I think that that's human nature and that's natural. And what I used to tell people when we were going to start this space, and they're like, you're going to start a church or whatever. I'm like, well, kind of. It's not really. Like, we're going to listen to Alan Watts and stuff and, you know, talk about weirdness. But, you know, like, it's like, yeah, because the human species runs in packs. Mm-hmm. And eventually you want to link up with other people who are kind of navigating the same thing, who want to open the magic carpet so we realize we're all kind of navigating same spaces in different ways. And I've learned, this is a hard one without sounding like condescending or pretentious in any way, but I understand deeper now what Jesus meant by not throwing your pearls to swine. And I'm not calling those people pigs or what. It feels like that. It feels like I'm being like rude or that they're not awakened enough or whatever, but it just is like more so just thinking in terms of like, these things are really special to me. Mm-hmm. This path that I've been on is really special. It's really, to use an old word, edifying to my soul. Yes. And when someone doesn't recognize that, and they're just going to sort of like trample all over it, I'm going to hold that back for me, mm-hmm. because that's my treasure and gold, you know?
That is how I'm feeling. Yeah, that is really how I'm feeling. It's like their path is serving them, and I have to just know that this is what I'm supposed to have, you know, in this life. Like, just that is a beautiful thing. I really appreciate you saying that right now. It's like, oh, I do need to maybe hold this a little closer sometimes.
Yeah.
So that they're not like, you know, just trampling all over it or something.
Right.
You know,
and silence is
sense,
okay.
Yeah, like trampling. Yeah, but then some people are open to it, so that's always a exciting thing.
Yeah, I mean, discernment to me is like one of the key elements of the spiritual path. Is like, how do I discern for myself and for others, like the best way to live and move and have my being? And to some people they're open, and to some people they're not. And I've learned, like, if people are open, what would be like just a half step towards wholeness for this person, you know? And I don't, only they truly know what wholeness is for them, but like from my view, like, what does it look like for them to release the grip just a little bit more on what they perceive the infinite to be in their boxes, you know? And I think in opening yourself up to that, it, you know, gives opportunity for deeper relational connection with those who you're aligned with. And all those surface things you had to juggle, well, they were kind of a pain in the ass to juggle anyway, you know? So I know there's like some thing flying around here, but yeah, thank you for bringing that up.
Fairy dust, magic.
Right? Yeah, fairy dust. I hope so. Yeah, for sure. Anybody else want to come up and riff before we land here in a few? That's really good, difficult to navigate. Yeah.
A lot of awesome things brought up today. I think it's such a beautiful path, you know, when you start to acknowledge your vulnerability and your like ability to not know everything. You know, I think like for some reason there's been this like call or expectation to know, you know, to be all knowing. And if you have the right key for the right lock, you're going to have this glorious path and you're going to be saved and everything's going to be okay. And, you know, I was kind of raised, my grandfather was a Christian pastor, so I had that teaching, but I never really went to church. So my spirituality had an opportunity to grow and emerge in a multifaceted environment. My father was very liberal, very open. I would say like agnostic, like atheist and queer affirming. And so I was able to experience the beauty of diversity in its many forms. And so that was special and sacred to me. And you couldn't tell me that like that was not real and it was beautiful, because I saw it in all of its glory, and it was just like stunning to see multiple people come together and experience music and share joy and connection. And so, and then in the Christian experience that I had, it was a little more like I heard those good things. God is love, Jesus is love, like he loves us. And that was very beautiful, and I was like, oh, I feel that. But then, you know, unfortunately, I didn't really see that in their community in terms of the way that they received people that were outside of it, or there was judgment that was there. And I could feel and hear this judgment, and I was like, oh, that hurts. You know, and there were times where I'd visit churches and I'd be like, you know, I don't think I can bring my friends here. And so, you know, I started to seek out progressive faith communities, and while I was studying religion and the Midwest, and ended up going to a very diverse seminary where I went to school with Muslims and Jews and Christians and humanists and atheists. And I was a part of an interfaith cohort. And it was so cool. And at first I was like, oh, I'm going to, you know, I felt a little shame, you know, and guilt, you know, my really, you know, kind of conservative African-American mamas, you know, that I would go sing gospel with were like, girl, you better be careful. Like, they're going to, you know, what? You're going to seminary? Like, you got to be careful. And I was like, they're like, I'm like, well, I just want to know more. And so it was hard to break down what I thought, what you've been taught as being this box, and you can only be in that box. And if you go outside of that box, you're in danger. Like, like you better be careful. And I'm like, I don't think so. Like, I think we need to know more. And so what I found was just absolutely beautiful. And CTS is Chicago Theological Seminary. And so in that space, they welcome people from all faiths. And so being able to look contextually at sacred texts, being able to see the commonalities within the Abrahamic faith tradition, from Judaism to Christianity to Islam, even to like Baha'i and Sikhism and all these beautiful faith traditions, where that it just extends, and it's all of these experiences where God is continually speaking to his people in a very glorious way. And then you start to share space with these people who have different stories of their sacred texts and of their different traditions and their experiences and their personal walks with God. And then out of that, all of a sudden, all of these experiences start to come together, and we start to hold space for everybody's voice and everybody's story and everybody's heart. And it was outstanding. And I thought, wow, we are all speaking the same language. I mean, that's what really happens, is when you start to share space with people of different faiths, those differences break down. And so what matters is the commonalities. What matters is that they're extending themselves and allowing their vessels to have the presence of God move and direct them, and to guide them through their life, and to be the hands and feet of God. And then all of a sudden the ego kind of shifts. You know, like, I think a part of it is just like, I don't need to know. Like, there's a beauty in like, you know, recognizing our lack of capacity, right? Like, it's okay. You know, like that meditation was so rad. It was like, okay, you know, I hear this, I see this, I feel this. I'm in the past, I'm in the future. Okay, that's all valid, but that's all ego. These are all perceptions. These are all things I'm experiencing and feeling in the now. But that doesn't define who I am exactly. There's something deeper in there.
Right.
You know, when you sit back and then there's this space of nothingness, this space of beauty, of peace, gentleness, presence. And it's like, the breath of life.
Right.
So rad.
Yeah, I
So
love
like,
that.
and so I love coming to this space because it reminds me and I'm able to have this experience. But I also sing, I'm actually joined an African Methodist Episcopalian church. So I'm singing gospel there.
Nice.
Yeah, and it's so fun. Yeah, and I used to, like 25 years ago, in a more conservative kind of Baptist tradition. So this is a different tradition for me, but like, I've learned to be able to share spaces with people all the time from different faiths, and it's okay.
Yeah.
And I don't need to be like, well, I don't know. I don't need to. It's like having not like a non-judgmental presence, and knowing that God is in me, and God is in you, and God is around us, and that when we come from a place of love and non-judgment, all that stuff dissipates. Mm-hmm. And then you can just be together and then work on what's important, values, creating like wellness in the community and things like that. So yeah, that's just been my experience. Really yeah. So I just wanted to share that because it just, I feel that struggle and like, I still feel it. I come against it all the time. And sometimes people are like, are you really saved? And I'm like, yes, I am. I'm very saved.
Yeah.
Because I'm, it's funny. But, and like having to like wrestle with that. But then that's our existence.
Right.
Is we will always wrestle.
Yeah.
We're here to wrestle and then asking God to give us his grace and his mercy and his love and let it go. Mm-hmm. Yeah. Like the Buddha, it's like, you have to come back to that. It's like detachment. And I'm like, oh yeah, okay, let it go. Mm-hmm. When you guys were talking, the thing that came to my head is, Lord, give me the strength to accept the things I cannot change. And the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference. Yeah. And, that just like helps so much. Yeah. Yeah. It's like, I can't change it. It's going to happen. Mm-hmm. But what I can do is like take a breath.
Yeah. Even you just exhaled, like Alan Watt's talking about.
Yeah.
Sigh of relief.
Yeah. And trust that God is with us and he's still speaking and moving and directing our path. Yeah. In love.
Yeah, thank you so much for sharing that. That's really good. I feel like and we'll close here, but thank you for that. I feel like when you were at seminary and you were kind of representing a form of Christianity and the voices of the many. I hope that Current is kind of like that on some sort of scale. There's a lot of beauty in this tradition that can be recycled, and that's really beautiful. That really doesn't have anything to do with a lot of the dogma that we carry with it. In this country, though, it's very difficult to do right now, and I feel the weight of that a lot. And it's hard to feel like, these parables and these things and whatever come up, and then the minute I start to like talk about it, to feel that needing to be put in boxes over here or whatever, and it's like constantly trying to burst out of that to be able to see that, like Rumi said, or it wasn't Rumi. Was it Rumi? Not Rumi. Somebody can fact check me on this. I don't know. But, the religions are many, but the mystics speak one language, And I think that's true. And whenever you have that tuning into here, you're like, yeah, of course there is differences in the religions. Absolutely. That's what makes them great. That's why you all wore different clothes here today, and you have different ideas about stuff and what. Like, that's what gives it context, and it makes it fun to be like, oh, like it isn't actually the same. But then on the Venn diagram, there are overlaps. There are things that are the same. There are things that do go beyond. And to me, those are the things, the bridges between the faiths that bring it back to that simple presence of God that is seeking to help us understand who the divine is within us. And even your question, I'll end with this. We're going to make it at 11:15, okay? But people ask if you're saved, and if any of you come from a Christian background, that's been a question about you a lot. If you don't, and you found your way here from a different doorway, you're lucky, dude. But and I honor and I respect my tradition of faith at this point. I don't need it to die. I don't need to whatever. I was listening to David Bentley Hart on Rainn Wilson's podcast, Soul Boom. And David Bentley Hart's an incredible theologian, whatever. Here I am, rabbit trailing, but I'll close. But, and he's like, I hope Christianity crashes and burns. I'm like, Christian theologian said what? All right, well, let's hear him. Maybe it does need to. I don't know, and anyways, listen to that podcast. I think I shared it in the WhatsApp group. But this word saved and people wanting to understand if you are saved. The word sozo, as you know from seminary and things, that just means healing. Like it's how are you understanding that you are healed? That you are understanding that process. And so sozo, salvation, what it means to be saved, is not like a one and done thing of like, I was at a youth retreat and I gave my life to the Lord and got a KJV Bible and that's not truly being saved. Like I'm saved every moment that I come back into a remembrance of the dream isn't real. Every time I have that realization that I'm understanding that God's working out something in this grand narrative that we call life, like that there's beauty in the midst of darkness and all of this stuff. Every time I have that changing of mind, repentance is to just look at things from a different angle and perspective. Whenever I've been so much in that wheel of that feedback loop of whatever it is, and that something just goes in the spoke of the tire, and I flip over and I go, whoa, none of the narrative was actually true. Salvation moment. I'm saved again. Oh, grace, peace, mercy, compassion, love start to flow from me again. Stop flipping people off in traffic and writing mean comments on YouTube and I don't know, whatever. It's not all behavioral. All right, let's stand and pray as we close this fun, funky Sunday today. God, thank you for this space. Thank you for the opportunity to be able to just be open, just to be open. Help us to tune in to the prompting of your Spirit as we move from this space. Help us to have those salvation moments, the saved moments, the enlightenment, revelation moments that remind us of who you are, who we are, how we move through this life in a way that is truly in tune, righteous, holy, if you will. Just pray that you would be with us as representations of goodness in every sphere of life that we find ourselves in. If the only prayer we say is thank you, it would be enough. So we say thank you. Amen. All right, friends, that was fun. Hopefully you enjoy the rest of your holiday weekend. If you made awkward eye contact with somebody, again, say what's up to them. And then if you want to be a part of the WhatsApp group, just hit me up. Come up here and we'll get you in the space right now. So I'm trying to find what song we want to listen to. But have a wonderful day, friends. We'll see you in a couple weeks.